Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with my signal today. It's been going in and out. This one is not going to be long. I see it that I have a signal, so I'm going to run with it. Let me check my sound real quick, and we get started. I don't know how long it's going to last, so I'm going to go for all it's worth. And we are good and good. It's perfect. First of all, sorry that it cut out last. I uploaded the other show, the full show. Anytime it cuts off, I usually just upload it. I have a copy of the video. Also, thank you everyone who comes. Thank you everyone who likes, shares, writes to me, sends me stuff, all that stuff. You guys are absolutely appreciated. You help make the channel. If it was here by myself, it would be a very different channel. That's the first part. Tomorrow, Grant Cameron and Hard Bastard. Grant Cameron at 5, Hard Bastard at 7. I wanted to talk about something. So, I was on Twitter, and I see CNN, and I'm watching CNN. And as I'm watching CNN, I'm looking at James Clapper talking to Jake Tapper. And I'm asking myself, why is the spook on TV talking to me? Does the CNN that knows that guy's a spook and what that guy was doing when he was in office, do they know that? Do they find that having a spook in the media in this way, do they think that that's somewhat of a helpful thing? Do they think that that spook is giving the American public a particular context that the American public needs to have? What is that spook doing on television? And that's what I thought to myself. Not just that. What is that lying spook doing on television? CNN gave him a job. James Clapper lied to Congress about the spying program. When Edward Snowden released the information, you found that he had lied through his teeth to Congress. They wanted to prosecute James Clapper, but nobody did anything. Lied to Congress. CNN looks at that and says, we need to get that guy on the show. We need to get that guy on the show. In fact, just so you understand what I'm saying, this guy.
Five-year deadline to charge former US intelligence chief James Clapper expires on Monday, despite calls from both parties to prosecute him. He allegedly lied to Congress under oath about mass domestic surveillance.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly. There are cases where they could inadvertently, perhaps, collect, but not wittingly.
Well, Clapper's statement there was revealed to be erroneous just months after the testimony with Edward Snowden's revelations about mass US surveillance. American lawmakers have criticised the Justice Department for failing to open Clapper's case.
He and others who have held administrative power must be held accountable to the same laws that govern the people of the United States.
He admitted to lying to Congress and was unremorseful and flippant about it. The integrity of our federal government is at stake because his behavior sets the standard for the entire intelligence community.
Yeah, there we are. Yeah, I was making the point, but you couldn't hear me make that point. Yeah, he's right, by the way. The integrity of the Congress itself. If the intelligence community comes to Congress and lies about it, and there's no consequence for that particular person or that intelligence community member lying about it, then you've set a precedent. I always make this point that if somebody does something and nothing takes place in response to somebody doing something, then it is implicitly allowed. If George Bush can go into a country and kill 1 million people and the next president comes in and gives it a pass, implicitly, the president of the United States has the authority to invade any country that he wants on any particular pretense. There's no consequence for anything. There's a different set of rules for them versus us. Clapper lied to Congress. Clapper wasn't supposed to lie to Congress. There should have been charges on Clapper after he lied to Congress. There were no charges. There was no consequence. And right now he's sitting on CNN smiling and telling you stuff. Smiling and telling you stuff. The video I was watching, well, let me finish.
Political analyst Charles Ortell says that Clapper's case does fit into a larger pattern of failures to prosecute.
It can be taken very seriously, but to date, it has seldom been prosecuted aggressively. And depending on the facts of the case, prosecutors may make a determination that they only want to go forward with cases that are easily won. When you look past the narrow issue of Clapper and you look at the long period of President Obama's tenure for 8 years, which is only now beginning to come under the kind of scrutiny I felt it deserved a long time ago, what you see to have been a long-standing pattern and practice of harnessing the machinery of the fearsome machinery of the U.S. federal state against enemies of the Obama administration and in favor of friends of the Obama administration. And that's the larger story here, not simply whether Clapper should be prosecuted for the one instance that's admitted where he did lie under oath to Congress.
That guy, he has a job on CNN. Let's look at him on CNN, telling people what to believe, with James Clapper, asking him questions as if he's some ordinary guy.
Not only in this country, but overseas.
What do you make of Pompeo, the director of the CIA, now going to be nominated to be Secretary of State? Pompeo regarded by people in the Bannon wing of the Trump and Republican Party as more of a nationalist. He was a Tea Party Republican, maybe less so of an internationalist, like Tillerson, like McMaster.
Well, in many ways, I think it's actually a better fit for Mike Pompeo.
They're certainly on the wavelength more.
Well, that, and he's much more of a policy activist, and he's going to be in a better position to be activist as Secretary of State than he was as Director of CIA. I do wonder, though, about whether he's going to continue to preside over essentially the dismantlement of the State Department. It just doesn't strike me that he's going to preside over a funeral, which is kind of what we got going on right now in the State Department.
And of course,
hopefully he'll reverse that.
And of course, they're talking about Gina Haspel, the Deputy Director of the CIA, becoming nominated to be the Director of the CIA. You have supported her in the past when she was nominated to be Deputy. There's a lot of people raising questions, including John McCain today, about the fact that in 2002 she ran a so-called black site, CIA prison in Thailand, where 2 terrorism suspects were tortured, and she also reportedly, her name was on a cable ordering the destruction of tapes, but you support her.
I do.
And by the way, this goes back to my original point. If there is no consequence, it is implicitly allowed. They went into a country, they killed 1 million people. Those people fled into other parts of the country. You can make a strong argument that ISIS, the inception of ISIS, was based on our behavior destroying that particular part of the world. Funding terrorists in some of the other countries. So we are funding terrorists in the Syrian war, creating a civil war that allows that war to propagate itself for years on end when that war might have been over with a hell of a lot earlier. You have refugees fleeing out of those countries into areas of Europe. Europe gets destabilized because of the number of people who are coming into the country from Muslim countries, fleeing the war zones that we ourselves have created, and that even Europe itself was giving weapons to. I'm looking at you, Britain. If you know that the woman ran a black site, if you know that the woman was torturing, if you know that she destroyed evidence, why is this woman walking around and being promoted to the Director of the CIA? There are no consequences. Nothing is consequence. In a world where nothing is consequence, pretty much anything is allowed. Ultimately, you found somebody who's been torturing. George Bush said, yes, waterboard him. It is very clear that he was torturing Bush. He owned up to the fact that he was torturing. And there is no consequence. If there's a kid out here who has a bag of pot in his pocket, that kid will go to prison. This woman was breaking other human beings. And now she's going to be the head of the CIA potentially. Chuck Schumer coming out in a squishy answer of we're not going to block the torturer and the black site operator. He thinks she's a good idea. Let's keep going. Let's see what the spook has to say.
I think the world of Gina, I think she's a tremendous officer, intelligence officer. I've worked with her, on an occasion when she served overseas. She had a second hat as the DNI representative, and she was great.
Wait, what does he mean overseas? You mean in a black site in Thailand? Is that what you're talking about? Be specific. I don't know what you mean when you say overseas.
So I think she'll be good for the agencies. She's very highly respected there, and I think will be good for the intelligence community because I think she'll work well with Dan Coates and Sue Gordon, his deputy.
What about the human rights concerns that Senator John McCain raises?
It's a concern, and I think that's something Gina she'll have to deal with, and I think she can in the confirmation process because there will be questions raised about it, and there'll be opponents. I think she'll get confirmed, but certainly not unanimously.
In his exit speech, his farewell address, Tillerson talked about the need to do more against the aggression shown by Russia. He also yesterday expressed more solidarity with the UK when it came to the accusations that Russia poisoned a Russian defector on British soil. He's actually been much more of an advocate for more muscular response to Russia than a lot of people thought he would be. Do you think the administration loses a voice pushing for more of a response to Russia, as I know you support?
Well, I do, and that to me is the overarching concern that I've had from the get-go is the singular indifference, the almost aggressive indifference to Russia. And Russia is at war with us right now, and have been from the election on.
Russia is at war with us right now, and they've been that way from the election on. This is what CNN is telling the people on their airwaves. I sat here as I watched this, and I thought to myself, there are people who are watching this, who is on this particular wavelength, who is listening to this particular spook, with his particular life experience, doing the particular things that he do, and telling them that we're at war with Russia. Let's let him keep going. I'm just saying, understand his background. That's all I'm saying. And when the guy is famous for lying to Congress, is that really the person that you want to put as the face of the CIA on your channel? Background matters. Who's talking to you matters. It matters a lot.
And this requires not only intergovernmental but an inter-society response, and we're not doing it. And I think the nation's in peril because of it.
Let me ask you a question. The House Intelligence Committee, the Republicans on that committee, have a report. We haven't seen it yet, but according to their public comments and what they have said, they think that the intelligence community report put out in October 2016, which said that the Russians were trying to interfere, was departed from in January 2017 when you and others leading the intelligence community more directly said that Russia was trying to help President Trump. And they ask whether or not you went too far and relied on intelligence that wasn't as solid as the intelligence from the previous report.
Well, I don't agree with that, and I stand on the assessment. I need to point out that, it wasn't the four of us, Jim Comey, John Brennan, Mike Rogers, myself, wrote that report. This was done by a group of almost 30 experts across the three agencies, particularly FBI, CIA, and NSA. And they are career expert civil servants. And that's who actually wrote that report.
Go back and look at what they were saying with weapons of mass destruction. I'm just saying, go back and look and see what they were saying with weapons of mass destruction. Look at all the experts that were on the television screen. Look at all the screeds that were written in the New York Times and Washington Post. Look at all the things, the fever, the hysteria that people were experiencing during that time. This is the same thing. This is the same thing. They're gearing up. They put a spook on television with military experience and ask him, how do you see the world? And what should the president do? And yeah, what do you think he's going to say? Everybody's out to get us. The Ruskies are coming. The Ruskies are coming to get us. The Ruskies are coming to get us. The Ruskies are not coming to get us. You're a maniac and a liar. You're a maniac and a liar. You're a proven liar. And don't misunderstand me. Everybody lies. I'm not talking about the lies that you're talking about person to person. I'm talking about lying on a magnificent fucking level when the country is asking you a question and you lie outright to Congress itself, unaccountable to the agencies that are supposed to hold you accountable. And they put them on CNN. Is there another voice on CNN giving somewhat of an opposing view of this? Is there the anti-war voice? Where's the anti-war voice? Where's the voice that comes in and says, this man is being hysterical? You put a spook on TV. Of course, the spook is going to say that somebody is out to get us. In fact is, we don't know that Russia hacked us. We don't know the things that you guys are proclaiming, and the evidence that you're proclaiming is all coming from the Obama administration. All of these connections are associated with Hillary. It's like, come on, be honest. Where's the other opinion on this? This is kind of my point. Under normal circumstances, media would call themselves objective. They would say we're objective. Not on this. Not on this. They've decided they greatly dislike Trump, and the people they put on is going to go after Trump. It seems to be consistent. It seems to be continuous. I don't necessarily watch the news constantly, so don't misunderstand me. Not like CNN, MSNBC, but it seems to be constant. And it seems to be very pointed in one way. It seems they've abandoned all sense of objectivity. He's getting on here saying, yeah, the government is falling apart. Fair enough. I'm going to show you a montage of all the people that left. It's absolutely hilarious. But it's like when you get into that part, it's Russia's coming to get us. Russia's coming to get us. The president hasn't done anything about it. Russia is attacking us. They're attacking us. We're at war with Russia. Listen to this rhetoric. Listen to the rhetoric. Are we at war with Russia? No. No, we're not. We're not. Russia didn't attack us. Facebook ads is not an attack. Twitter ads is not an attack. In fact is, we do worse. We do worse. We have no moral standing to be this pissed off and hysterical. None. Absolutely none. So, I let him finish. I'm just saying, this CNN is playing this hysterics. And there are going to be people who are looking at this and who are thinking to themselves, oh my God, the president isn't doing anything about Russia. Russia's coming to get us. And I know it works because I have friends who watch this shit and regurgitate it when they're talking to you. It just comes out of them. It's like a program. It's amazing. It's like they repeat it. You're like, why do you believe it? And you just peel through it. But yeah. But why do you believe that? What is it? What is the reason you believe? They're on a particular spectrum. They dislike Trump. They hear this stuff, and so it just goes in. If you play it long enough, at some point, I guess it sticks. At some point, it sticks. Let's let him finish. I'm just amazed they put a spook on CNN. Just amazing. It's like, what do you think the spook is going to say?
We, at the time, and I still feel that it was very solid, and I do believe that, again, first objective, sow discord. Second was to hurt Hillary Clinton as much as they possibly could, which, by the way, means helping Donald Trump. And, all this activity that we've seen, the indictments of the 13 Russians, for example, which
their Facebook and Twitter ads, the indictment of the 13 Russians, are you shitting me? Are you shitting me?
I think served as a bookend to our intelligence community assessment that we published last January 6th of 2017. Just reinforce that.
Facebook and Twitter ads reinforces what you guys were saying. I was looking at one of the reports from NBC News. I think it was NBC or CBS, one of the news networks. They kept insisting that there was a hack. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, comes back and says, no, we've told them there was no hack. That's not true. And yet they continuously say there's a hack. They were using informants from the prior administration, meaning the information that they were using to insist that there was a hack was coming from the Obama administration. And as you read the article, you're like, yeah, but everything that you guys are talking about is from the last administration. They don't consider that maybe the information they're getting from the last administration is somewhat tweaked, maybe not necessarily the most accurate, depending on what they were trying to accomplish in that administration. When you talk to the state says we weren't hacked. What the states do say is they saw the Department of Homeland Security in their systems, in the voting systems. I don't remember the state, but it was one or two. His assessment on this boils down to, we wrote a report, and that report was good. It was solid. And those Facebook and Twitter ads back up what we gave you in the report. Okay, dude, those Facebook and Twitter ads backed up your report. Let's keep going.
So things like the Internet Research Agency and all the propaganda that RT was putting out, they're not doing it on a freelance basis. That's all orchestrated, and certainly President Putin not only acquiesced in it, he fostered it.
All right, General Clapper, thank you so much.
Should you really put a spook on TV? I'm just asking. I guess my feeling is the background of the individual is going to affect what that individual says and how that individual processes the world. You have all these spooks that are running in politics. I saw this other story. I think it was called a World Socialist Magazine or something like that. All of these spooks getting into Democratic Party and running as politicians. You have spooks on TV talking to the public. CNN bringing him on, famous liar, asking him for information and having him tell the public that we're at war with Russia. This is the shit that's playing on media over and over and over again. This is terrifying. This is utterly terrifying. If I didn't know, A, that people were this gullible, that's the first part. B, that they were this terrified, meaning they let themselves get worked up in some level of hysteria where everything else falls away and the only thing they can think of is, oh my God, we're terrified the Ruskies are coming to get us and Donald Trump is not going to help us. Russia, we're not at war with Russia. James Clapper is giving you the opinion of some spook. To a hammer, the entire world looks like a nail. So, I will leave it at that. And it seems that I left this video on private, so nobody else saw this video but me. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support through Patreon. And look, my final point here is always be skeptical. Always know who's giving you the information. In this case, they put spooks on television, and these spooks are giving you information, and these spooks have track records. And your question is, should you and can you really trust what these guys are saying? Be skeptical. If they're trying to commit you to some level of war, or they're trying to get you to hate somebody else, be skeptical. CNN has a perspective. CNN is trying to impart that perspective. You got to be aware that they have a perspective. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to belabor the point. All right, guys. Have a good one.